Okay, I'm going to go and get started. We got a couple people, in fact, 3 people that are out sick tonight, so they emailed me before class. And so we're going to go and get started. We are on week 4. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Everybody eat enough turkey and all that good stuff? Did you get turkeyed out? Turkey comas, anybody? I got a couple of them, I think, myself. Tonight we're going to go over in-class exercise on week 4. We're going to be covering texture slide, hyperlink, and action buttons. So not a lot this week. We'll cover that, and as always, you'll have a couple downloads. You can begin downloading now if you want to in week 4 for in-class exercise. There's a couple downloads in there, one called week 4 and one called Conkle, I believe. You can go ahead and download those to your desktop while I'm going over this. Next week is your final session. You'll be presenting on the row that you're sitting at. You'll also be going over, you'll be coming to class, creating a package CD of your presentation. You'll be finding first of all, you'll find before you do that, you'll find a computer on your row that has working speakers. And I'll probably make sure before class, I'll go ahead and have one logged in and ready to go, because you guys will be using that computer on that row to test your presentation, make sure the sound's working and everything. And you'll also be presenting from that computer to each other on that row. The presentation is going to be an informal presentation to just those folks on your row. So you'll do that first. You'll find the computer. Second, you'll create the package CD of your PowerPoint. Third, you'll test that package CD on that test computer to make sure the sound and everything works. And then fourthly, you're going to print out the slides, 4 slides per page up here, enough for, you'll have 3 or 4 that you'll print out for those on your row. However many you have on your row, you'll print those out for them. Then the next step 5, you'll present to those on your row. 6, you will critique each other with a real quick 5-question critique, nothing real elaborate. And then step 7, the last step is you'll turn in your CD to me. I will have actually, for the CD, I'll have extra CDs that night. So if you want to make a copy for yourself, you may do that and take it home with you. That's fine. I'll have extras in here. So during the process of creating the CD, if you wanted to make 2 copies, that's great. I'll have extra here for you. So you can, I get one and you get to take one home. And then after the in-class exercises, always we'll go through and update your rubric, which we'll go over in just a second on the overhead, what we're going to be updating, what we're going to be going over tonight, plus what I'll be coming around updating on your rubric. Final capstone, had a couple questions already tonight on some final discussion questions on your capstone, like how long does it need to be, how many slides. Well, you'll notice each week I gave a range of how many slides you could create for your presentation or add to your presentation. Usually a range of 3 to 5, I believe somewhere around there. So if you have a range of 10 to 20 slides, you're good for your final capstone. Okay, that would include videos, things of that nature. Now videos, a few people have questions on that. If your videos range anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, say you had a couple videos, you're good to go. Okay, if you have any further questions, just see me after class, I can help you with that. The one thing you want to make sure on videos while we're talking about that is that's one of the reasons I have you test it before you give your presentation. Specifically with videos, you want to go to the slide where your video's on and preview it on that slide on that computer just to make sure everything's working. I always do that. And so that's one of the things you'll go through that night before you present. 10 to 15 minutes long, roughly. So I'm not going to be a stickler on that. If you go 8 minutes, no big deal. If you go 16, 18 minutes, no big deal. So that's a range of how long your presentation could be, 10 to 15 minutes, okay? I don't want you to be worried about time, okay? I don't want you to go an hour, but I don't have to worry about that. I never have. So, 10 to 15 minutes in length, you're good to go. It's an informal presentation to those on your row. So next week when you come to class, the first thing we're going to do, once we find, you guys will have I'll probably put a piece of paper in front of the computer on your row that's the one with working sound. You'll package a CD. I'll have a handout for you for that. You'll have a couple CDs per person to create the package CD from your PowerPoint presentation. You will print 4 slides per page. So if you have, say, 10 slides, that's going to be 3 pages, 4, 4, and 2. You'll give those handouts to your folks on the row, and then you'll basically present. So let's go ahead and go to the, I have on the overhead, I believe, if I can get to it. If it lets me go. Boop. So I got to push the right button. There we go. No. There we go. On the right side is what I'm going to be checking off your rubric tonight before we leave. This was actually for week 3. The graphics for this week or for last week we covered. I believe that was a custom bullet is what we did for that one. We did a custom bullet for week 3. The next one was sound. Remember that was where we had the hand claps coming in. Is that right? And at the end, some other sound I had you add to that. Drum roll, thank you. Video clips. Some of you have video clips, and that's fine. 1 or more videos. If you need help with video, before you leave tonight, if you're having issues, I will help you. So just hang back and I will help you with that. Then, slide transitions, we did that. So 4 check marks on your rubric are added at the end of the session tonight. I'll come by and add those. I'll look at your presentation and check mark those and put my name on it. This is what we're going to be covering tonight. Texture background, action button, and hyperlinks. Okay? Texture background, action button, and hyperlinks. So does everybody have the 2 files downloaded from week 4 in class exercise? Am I waiting on anybody to get those downloaded? Okay, great. Well, let me go ahead and go over the Conkle PowerPoint, the end product. Let's go over that one. Okay. This one right there, I believe. Yep. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and hit F5 to start the presentation. And just a kind of repetition here. How can I advance my slides? What are some ways I can advance my slides? Up, down, left, right arrow. What else? Space bar. What else? Anything else? Yep. Mouse will do. You can also, if you look on the overhead, I'm actually using my mouse right now. If you right-click on a slide, it'll allow you to go to a unique slide as well, which we have one over that. That's kind of a nice. If you wanted to jump ahead, or say you were already ahead, say I was on slide 10, and I wanted to go back to say slide 3. Right-click option is a good one for that. You'll notice in the right-click option you also have, besides go to slide, we've went over the pointer options on, ability to circle items. When you're giving your presentation next week, if you wanted to use that, that would be definitely fine to do, to practice, okay? To highlight something you're talking about, to point out something you're talking about. The other one was the black and white screen. Remember the shortcut for that, if I wanted to black this out, is what? B, right? I hit the B key. B again to bring it back. W key for white. W key to bring it back. So those are basic presentation. Now, if you wanted to end this presentation, what key do I click on? If I wanted to end it right now. Escape, right. Hit the escape key and it'll end it. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going on this presentation real quick to what we're going to be going over tonight. In fact, let me jump ahead a little bit. I'm going to exit out of where I'm at right now and go to the slide. I believe I put it in your notes for this week for the in-class exercise. Yeah, it says this week we're going to cover in your capstone, adding to your capstone, customizing texture background. We're going to add an action button to start up the calculator in Windows. The Windows calculator, we're going to use an action button to actually start that program up. Show you how to do that. Now, what you're going to learn tonight is just how to start up Windows calculator application. You can actually use what we're going to learn tonight to start up any application within your Windows environment that's loaded on your computer. Okay, we'll show you how to do that. And that's sometimes helpful when you're in a presentation, particularly the one we're going to show you tonight. If you're actually on a slide that's talking about some type of calculation or numbers, to have something on that slide to literally start up that program, calculator program, to do a calculation immediately, right there on the slide, without having to exit the slide or hit the start button and go to programs and, you know, start it the old-fashioned way. You can do it right within an action button. And then we'll do an action button as well, where you just put your mouse over a button and it's going to launch a website. And this website's going to be for informational purposes on how to set up a Wi-Fi network. Slide 11, 13, and 15 comments. For slide 11, it's comment 18. Slide 13 is comment 17. Slide 15 is comment 19. I want to cover it. Start there on slide 11 then. So let's see here. Okay, slide 11, if you see this one, I'm going to go ahead and expand it out here. I'll play it. Okay, so there's my two action buttons. The first one's a calculator action button that we're going to do tonight. And the second one's a hover over action button. The first one is a mouse click action. So when you click on the button, it does something. Okay? In this case, I programmed it to click on it and open up calculator. Now you'll notice that little prompt I got before that said enable macro. You will need to do that the first time. So what I tell students, if you're going to use an action button that does run a program, what you want to do is, like you would anyway, do a run through of that PowerPoint prior to the presentation. And once you do the run through one time and you enable that macro for that application, which in this case is to run Notepad or run a calculator, you don't have to do it again. Okay? So again, you'll notice when I click on this again the second time, it just starts up calculator. Okay? So you'll learn how to do that tonight. It's called an action button. The next one below that, you'll notice, I'll put my mouse, if you'll look on the overhead, I'm just going to put my mouse over that and immediately starts up a web browser and goes to a website. That's a pretty cool one. And that's called mouse hover event for that button. And you'll learn how to do that as well. I like to use action buttons that are customized to where you can do it however you want to do it. You'll see, as we go over this tonight, you'll see there are predefined action buttons. I like to use custom only actions. That way you can do whatever you want to with that button, whatever you want to do with it. The next one is not on this slide, I don't believe. I think it's on the next one. Yeah. This one I've changed the background. If you look at the slide prior, that's the static theme background, that white background there. That's a static one. What I've done is added a textured background on this one, which gives it a little different effect visually. You don't want to go crazy here, and you can go crazy on texture backgrounds. They kind of look funny, especially on some overheads and some rooms. So I do show you how to use this and to do it, but I don't generally recommend doing it, a texture background, because on some overheads, I don't know if you can see from it, this one actually you can see lines in it on mine, but there are some different effects that you'll see, and there's tons of different textures you can apply. And I'll let you guys, when we do this tonight, I'll let you apply whatever texture background you want to apply. You can play with it and apply it and have fun with it. Okay, so that's a texture background. And then the last one we'll do is, this is the conclusion slide. Remember, your conclusion slide will also always have a question for the audience. Are there any questions? But what I've done to this one is I've actually put converted that picture to a hyperlink. You don't see anything different with that picture, but when I take my mouse and put it over this picture, you'll notice it turns to a hand along with the URL. And so all I have to do is basically click on this picture and it brings me to that website. Okay? Do what? Yours doesn't do that. Are you in play mode? Let me come around and look at it. No, you're not in play mode. You have to be playing the presentation. You have to be in the F5 mode, show mode. Yeah, so what you want to do is go to the presentation. You have to go all the way down to the last slide and play that slide. So click on it, and then click on that slide. Nope, right there. Yep, then click on that, and it brings up, yep, you have to left click on it. Oh, I think you right clicked. Just go back one. Just left click, you're right clicking. Yep. Let's go ahead and go click on that again. Oh, you don't have the right one up. You have week 4 up. You have to have Conkle up. That's okay. You're going to learn how to do it. You have the wrong one up. Yeah, you got week 4. You guys have week 4 up. I have Conkle up. That's the final example. Okay? So you guys have week 4, so don't worry about it. Because remember, I had you guys download, you're supposed to download both of these PowerPoint files. The one I was just showing you is a finished example. The Conkle finished example, okay? So that's why you don't see it on yours. Okay, so let's go and do this. Let's jump right into it. Go ahead and go, if you open up your week 4, some of you already have it open, and what you want to do is rename that week 4, as we always do, to your first initial last name and save it to your desktop. So go ahead and do that before we get started. And then you're going to jump right to slide 11 when you get that done, okay? So again, week 4, do a file save as, first initial last name to your desktop, and then go to slide 11. Give you a few moments to do that. I'll bring my comment up here. So the first thing we're going to do, before we actually do, is talk about what action buttons are and what they do. Talked a little bit about it already, but in PowerPoint, action buttons have been around for a while. They've just changed where you add them in 2007, 2010, but it's the same function. You don't have to be a programmer to use an action button. It's pretty simple, you'll see in a second. But I show you some cool things you can do with it tonight. One is launching an application. Second, launching a website from an action button, okay, using a hover event. So to create an action button or add an action button to a slide, it's like anything in PowerPoint. You start at the Insert menu, then we're going to go to the Shapes area, then select Action Button Custom. Now this is actually at the very bottom of the Shapes area, menu area. So it's Insert Shapes. At the very bottom, click on Action Button Custom, and we're going to place that right here, where mine is right here roughly, on slide 11. We're going to place one here, and after you do that, you'll go ahead and place one down here. We're going to call the top one Calculator, the bottom one Setup Wi-Fi Router. So I'll do it for you on the overhead, and then you can watch me, and then do it yourself. So I'm going to go to Insert, Shapes, scroll all the way down to the bottom. To the very right, you'll see Custom Action Button. It's this one right here. If you put your mouse over it, Action Button Custom is actually what it's called. I click on that. Notice when I click on it, I now have crosshairs available to me. And what that does, it allows me to draw the button at any shape I want or any location I want it to be and any size. So let me show you. I'm going to left click right here and hold, left click and hold, drag it down to the right and release, and then this pops up. So I'm going to wait for everybody to get right there, and then we'll slowly go through how to do this, okay? So again, Insert, Shapes, all the way down to the bottom. You're going to go to the Custom button all the way to the bottom right. Okay? So again, I picked an application that's a popular embedded Windows application called Calculator that you might have used before, that you don't have to have a direct path to that application. So we click on Run Program. You don't have to click Browse. All you need to do is type in the word CALC, calc. It's not calculator, just CALC. You'll type in CALC. That's the program name for calculator. Now, while you're there, don't go anywhere else. I want to show you a little trick. Say you're outside of PowerPoint sometime and you wanted to get to calculator very quickly in Windows, whether it be Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7. Let me show you a little trick. Just kind of stay there. Don't do this. I'll just show you. I'm in XP here. Start the start button run command. I can just type in CALK, hit enter, and it starts up calculator. Okay? So again, it's a shortcut to the calculator. We want to make sure where it says play sound, that's unchecked. We don't want to play any sound for this action button. So only thing you should have done on this one is radio button, run program, typed in calc. And like I said, we could, if we wanted to, after class or later on when you want to play with this some more, you can actually browse out and go to another application in Windows and browse out to that executable file for that application and do the same thing here. Okay? So go ahead and click OK once you've done that. And you'll notice I don't have any text in mine yet, and you might not have either because we haven't typed anything in. To get text in here, all I need to do is right-click on that box one more time, go to Edit Text, and type in, just begin typing, calculator. Again, just right-click, Edit Text, and begin typing calculator. As soon as you've done that, Control-S to save what you've done, and let's go ahead and do this for me. Let's click on the slideshow button for this slide and test that button real quick. You'll take your mouse and click on it. Enable, you want to click on this Enable All. And then it should launch, you exit out, do it again. So do it a couple times just to make sure it's working. Again, you'll have to play that slide for this to work first. You'll have to be in play mode. Yep. Enable all. Good. Now close out the calculator and do it again. Click on calculator one more time just to make sure. Good. So let me just come around to make sure it's playing right. Okay, it looks like you have two buttons in there. That's okay. Go ahead and click on this one and move it down below. You'll use it for the next one. You have to click away and then come back. And then remember to drag it, you have to click on the little line. Click away, come back. There you go, now drag down. Good. Now right click on this box. Right click, you're left clicking. You want to right click. Edit text. And then type in calculator. Okay, you want to go to the slide that we just worked on. Slide 11. That's the one you want to stay on.
Did I misspell it?
That's it. Just stay right there. Done. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and test that. Top one first. Click the play button for this slide. Nope, play button. Yep. Put your mouse over calculator. Maybe put it on this one. Put your mouse over that one. Okay, click enable all. Enable all. Okay. You spelled it wrong, it looks like. Yeah, you put C-A-L-K. Click OK. All right, go ahead and escape it. Okay, right click. Right click. Hyperlink. Let me see your mouse. Okay, C-A-L-K. C-A-L-C, I'm sorry. C-A-L-C. Yeah, then click OK. Move this way. Okay, now go ahead and play the slide. Click on calculator. There we go. Exit out of calculator. And do it again, just to make sure. Nope, this one right here. Okay, good. Okay, stay on that slide. I just want to make sure the calculator is working as I come around. Everyone get theirs working. You guys get yours working over here? Okay, you've got to play the slide. Click on calculator. There we go. Okay, looks like everybody got theirs working here. So, next you're going to do the same thing we did to create this button, but you're going to boom. You're going to do the same thing as we did here, but you're going to create another one down here. Once you create this one, let me go ahead and show you what it's going to look like. Well, let me stop there for a second. If by chance you lose focus on this, you need to go back to that edit screen. You want to make sure that, remember like when we edited pictures before, you had to double click on the line. It can't be a dotted line, it has to be the solid line. Because if I do it this way, see the dotted lines, and go to hyperlink, notice how it goes to this screen? I don't want that. I've got to do it this way. It's got to be solid line. Do you see that solid's a lot different than dotted? Once it's solid line, you can right click, go to hyperlink, edit hyperlink, and then make your edits. Okay? So this one's going to actually go to the, instead of the mouse click, you guys are going to do mouse over and put in a URL. I have the URL in the comment, so before you do this, I would copy that URL first. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In the comment here, I believe underneath setup, the mouse hover, this URL right here, you want to highlight that URL and right click once you've highlighted it, or you can do a Control C if right click doesn't work, it looks like on that. You want to do a Control C, which will copy that once you highlight it. Then remember to insert a button. Where do I go to once I go to insert? Anybody? Shapes, right? Then where? Right here, action button custom. Good. Now I'm going to draw the button. This time I'm not going to go to the mouse click. We're going to go to mouse hover, hyperlink, go down and select URL and Control V. The right click won't work to paste or copy. You have to do Control C, Control V. You notice I pasted that URL in there. Click OK. And then all I have left to do is put in my text, which is going to be set up Wi-Fi router. Okay, well, I'm going to leave mine up on the overhead to where you can see what your screen should look like. That's what it should look like before you click OK. Hyperlink, you guys will need to scroll down to where it says URL and paste in that dummies, http dummies.com. All right? So let me come around and help you on that. Done. And then afterwards, you want to take it out, take it out. Okay? All right, so that's an action button. Now, action buttons, one thing I want to cover before we go on action buttons, let me show you on the overhead. If I go to Insert Shapes all the way down the bottom, I told you I like to use custom, but there are other ones in here. If you wanted to just quickly create an action button, they do have prefabbed ones, like a back a next action button. Okay, those would be like if you wanted to actually have a button on your slide to go to the next slide or to go to the next whatever, you could do that. You can have actions open up other PowerPoints, other Excel spreadsheets, other movie, whatever it is you want it to do, those actions can do. So this one has, let's see, it has a back or previous, forward or next, beginning, end, home, informational. Like on this informational one, let me show you. Okay, it's just a quick informational icon. That's what it is. You'll notice the actions, though, are exactly the same as the one we have for custom. The only difference is you get a nice little icon that looks like an informational icon. Okay? And it could be as simple as you want it to go out and load up another presentation that talks specifically about your company or about some information that they want to know more about. Okay? So, for instance, on this one here, if I had this icon maybe next to a product on a PowerPoint slide, this informational icon, and it was in a public kiosk in a conference, and the users could come by and click on a touch screen, they would click on this informational icon and it could launch this action button could launch another PowerPoint about that product that's being showcased. Does that make sense? And so action buttons can be used. That's the whole purpose of action buttons, actually. Okay? So let's go to the next one, which is really simple, which is the texture background, which I believe is on slide 13. Slide 13, you look on the overhead. Remember, I took this background. If you look on the overhead, I'll take it back the way it was. Say you add a textured slide and you want to bring it back to default. Let me show you how to do that before we actually apply it. You just right-click anywhere on the slide, go to Format Background, and there is an option here to reset background. Everybody see that? The reset background option will reset this background to the theme set of colors. Well, let me show you what it does. I'm going to go and click on it, and notice. Can we click on it? No. You can just watch me do it. I click on it, and now it sets it back to the original. I right-click, go back to Format Background, and here's where I can select my textured whatever. I can have a solid, gradient. The one I selected, I believe, was a gradient, I believe, or it might have been a picture. No, pictured or textured fill. It was a picture or textured fill, and I did one of these here. And you can select whichever one you want to. You can also do, you'll see here you can do clip art. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do on it. But we're just going to do textured, the predefined textured in here. Now, as soon as you'll notice when I select a texture, it immediately gives me a preview of it. If I don't like it, I can go on to the next one. But this is just specifically textured only, what we're playing with tonight. But you'll notice there's a lot of other options in here you could play with, okay? You can not only do textured, I can do a picture from a file on my desktop. I can do clip art. So say I wanted to do this one here. Or maybe this one here. Applies it. But we're just going to play now with the texture one. It's less, textured is actually less cumbersome than the other ones, but one of the things you can also do that I don't have you do for this exercise is you'll notice at the very bottom here, as I'm playing with this, I can take the transparency up from 0 to whatever. 100% you can't even see what I've done. Okay, it gets rid of it. It's invisible. But I can make that background texture less cumbersome by upping up the transparency. In Photoshop, it's called opacity. Some of you played with Photoshop before. It's just the background color becomes lighter. Okay, it becomes more transparent. And so the higher percentage of transparency, the less and less that texture shows through. Okay? So, going back to your slide, This is what it should look like. All you do again to apply a texture, and I'll let you spend a few minutes on it here, is right-click on any white space on the slide, go to Format Background, click on the picture or texture fill, and then I want you to select one of these textures. Once you've selected a texture, just click the Close button and Control S, and I'll come around and look at it. Conclusion slide, and let me show you on that one before we do it. I'll go to my last slide, and this is an actual click event. Click on it, it goes to a website. Okay? It's the same one. So for this one here, I believe I put the URL in there as well. So again, remember on these comments, you can't use a right-click copy. You just highlight the URL with your mouse, Control-C to copy it, click on the object, okay? Then you're going to go to Insert and select Links, the links area, Hyperlink. You'll notice to the right there, though, we're not going to do it on this one, you can add an action to any object in PowerPoint, just like we did for the button. You can add an action to anything. A word, a picture, a movie. Beyond playing a movie, it could do something else possibly. Could launch a spreadsheet if you wanted to. So anyway, click on the picture, insert, hyperlink, and then at the very bottom, you're going to do Control V. Now you'll notice before you hit OK, I want you to notice something. You can actually hyperlink other documents on your computer. You can also hyperlink an email address to where when you clicked on it in live mode, it would actually prompt your email client and send an email to that person. Okay? But we're just going to do the web page. Click OK. Control S. Go ahead and play that slideshow for that slide and test. Click on that picture to make sure it works. And I will be around to help you. So again, clicked on the object, went to Insert, Hyperlink, pasted that URL and the address, click OK, Control S to save it, preview it. When you put your mouse over the picture, you'll actually see it turn to a hand with the hyperlink below it, or the URL below it usually, and that launches a web page. Okay, so let me come around and so what I'm checking off tonight is on the right side here. Graphics, which is custom bullet, or any other graphic you have on your, it could be word art, auto shape. We did, I believe the in-class exercise we did was a custom bullet. It doesn't have to be that though. A sound of some type, a video clip or clips, and then at least one or more slides should have transitions. In fact, every slide should have a transition in your presentation up to this point. Between now and next week, which is the final week, you need to have a texture background at least on one slide. If it's too overbearing, what do you need to do? What can you do to make that texture background lighter? Remember? The percentage on the transparency, right? That's what you need to remember if it's too overbearing. Action buttons, it can be as simple at the end of the slideshow, adding a sound to an action button. Okay, a hover over event.